picks in the Jason and the Neferi already.
Yep, we have Knight's legendary Ari going to get locked in. No messing around here for BLG. You saw that Galio ban earlier. It's really no messing around. Although NIP do have some power picks. Shanji on that Rumble. Aki on the Skarner. Skarner is a champion that has been let open a lot compared to earlier in the year, but has had some really discernible impact in these games with these Impales. The double melee champions on the side of BLG. As long as, you know, Bin's staying at arm's length and Wei times his in-targetability correctly, they should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much going to be on Wei to use this champion as aggressively as possible early on, and then use that invulnerability that you do have to be able to make the lives of your opponents a little bit miserable. Between Aurora and this Rumble, you've got some very squishy champions that you can already go for. The Rumble especially quite immobile too, could be a potentially good target. Between the Jace and the Ahri as well, you've got some decent poke to be able to lay down as well. We'll have to see what the remaining pickups are going to be. Both of these compositions look like they're going to be wanting to go for these team fights.
Multiple AD carries getting taken away. I would say this favors Elk over Leave. You know, we talk about how, you know, Leave has had to be really the shining star for NIP. Wonder if he'll be able to do so here, especially with this team that has no CC coming out of your top side and no CC coming out of your mid laner. It almost feels like you might find yourself on utility duty. Ashe would be an option. Don't know if it's the greatest option. You don't have a ton of poke. We'll see what the options are, as BLG will have the first option here as they split difference between supports and AD carries.
Yeah, I mean, already there's quite a lot of those ADCs taken off of the board. Actually, they're just going to final pick ADC. We do not see that very often. It's going to be the Nico locked in right here for On. The Nico's been incredibly strong at the moment. He works into this composition pretty well. Lucian Army, just slam it.
Go.
We just go again. Run it
yeah,
back.
honestly, GOAT status.
Yeah.
I don't see why you wouldn't.
Run it back.
And they will lock it in. It's going to be a much different composition than what we saw them succeed against top esports.
That one.
This time around, not as much utility coming out from your top and your mid, but you got a lot of damage. And Kalista was left open and available. You're going to be throwing Nikos around and getting a bunch of Pop Blossoms.
I mean, I love this as a combo. Anytime I get to see the Nico and the Kalista on my screen, it is a good day. It just helps so much when you can either throw the Nico in for that engage, or because that makes it very telegraphed between the animation of that phase called and then pulling through with the ulti from the Nico. That takes quite a while. I prefer it when you just flash in, pop blossom, and then get yoinked out as the survivability option. Both of those are going to work. The thing is, though, usually you pick yourself up this Nico Kalista as a pretty aggressive bot lane that, you know, you're trying to get some kills with. I don't think you can do that right here into the Lucian Army. Lucian Army has so much power in the 2v2.
Does have a ton of power, but remember, Kalista does too. Kalista, one of the premier early game champions. If you land a Tangle Barbs onto this Nami as an example, could be really hard to land a bubble. Like, there is potential for death in this bottom lane. We could see really these guys elect to farm it up and go for skirmishes, or we could see the, you know, the Leave ppgod combo versus Elk and On and really go at each other and maybe see some kills in the laning phase. That's what I'd be excited for, Bloxxer. Maybe want to see these junglers make an early impact in that lane too. Whoever blinks first will be at a will not be at a advantage. They will be at a strong disadvantage, and the game could spiral out of control from there.
Yeah, indeed, early game going to be incredibly important. As you highlighted, right, the last time that we got to see the Lucian Army, it did win for NIP, but it was a 54-minute game. Leave had some mispositioning errors that sent it into the late stages of the game, and there was so much more setup for this guy. All of a sudden, you're trying to play this into a composition where really the only setup you've got for yourself is the Nami and the Skarner.
I know it's NIP's home stadium, I believe is where we're at. Looked like it. I know they did the thing in the sky. It's because we are there, as far as I know.
Ooh. Hello.
But the BLG Gyos not sounding as strong as they once were.
No, last year they were very, very loud, even at the start of this year, whereas now... Oh, hang on, Leave.
Cleanse already out. Leave down to below half HP. Nice charm dodge. The turnaround potentially. Don't really have a ton of CC to provide, but Doinb is in the thick of things. We're going to just get good damage on Knight. did have to
Can you
flash.
even reset here? Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple of flashes go down. You've then also got that cleanse off of leave, which is going to make it pretty tricky to step up to the Nico without fear of getting jumped. Way also going to be on vision right here. So overall, I think you're going to be happy enough with this one as NIP. It depends though. Yeah, you didn't really get to go back to base as either of these bot lanes. Yeah, right. Ouch.
ppgod got burned his heal as well, so we are missing a ton of summoners, but Elk took the bad brunt of the trade. Remember, a lot of sustain with the Nami as well with the W heal.
Indeed. See if it's going to be able to keep them alive right now, as these bot lanes could well be very explosive. We can see that the junglers are starting opposite sides of the map, working towards different places at the moment. You can gank a lot more effectively early on as the Skarner. At the same time, though, the Fury hasn't been having too many problems, especially once you hit level 6. That's where your skirmishing power and that gank potential really does come online. You're also pretty decent at going for tower dives. We'll see if we see something like that later on as well.
Seeing Wei finish up his top side, head over to the bottom. Aki gonna head up to the top side. Ward getting put down by Bin, scouted out by Shanji, so we might not see anything too crazy in this early game between these junglers, as you noted. You know, once, unless you see an opportunity presented and NIP makes an error, Wei might just be chilling out until he hits level 6 and is able to dash on people.
Exactly. At that point, very much the way that BLG are going to be looking to play out this game, right? Get Wei to there, couple of kills early on, hopefully, perhaps from ganks, perhaps from skirmishes, and then at that point, you're just trying to play as aggressively as possible. The thing is, though, I really can't draw my eye away from leave in this game. You have so much of your team on your back in so many of these games, and in this one, you don't even have the setup that you do usually.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough. He's going to have to find a lot for himself. ppgod is going to have to be on top of landing these bubbles. The tidal waves are going to have to be good. But yeah, not too much peel, right? But I think that's okay, because I think if BLG index a lot into leave, that means that Doinb and Shanji will go unchecked.
Very true. And if you can allow Shanji and Doinb to get ahead, they also do a lot.
Problematic. All right, we're going to try to get some damage on the key targets on Wise to steal the cannon. That means that leave will go down. It'll be first blood going over to Wei, as you don't take that increased damage when you are a minion. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, nice play there by Aki to come through. They take out Knight and get his flash.
Yeah, well played. Not quite going to be able to pick up 2 kills down in this bottom side, but I love seeing the little bit of extra tech right there from On. Absorbs a million of those tower hits. Aki is going to be able to grab the Scuttle Crab in the bottom side of the map and that kill into the mid lane. We'll have a replay of what went down in the mid. Knight kind of just steps a little bit too far forwards. He doesn't even particularly get hit
Beautiful
by anything.
prediction.
He tries to flash away, but it still doesn't work. Aki actually really showing up right there on the Skarner.
Yeah, beautiful prediction. He's got Knight downloaded.
Yeah. Yep.
Teleport coming in. Oh, a mistimed charm by Knight.
Oof.
Very rare. Very disappointing to see out of one of the most legendary mid laners to play in the LPL.
Oh, yeah.
He's I guess he's on tilt. I don't know. He's got to sharpen up just a little bit this game.
Yeah, it has been a couple of games, a couple of series in a row where Knight's been finding some decent success in some situations, but also maybe a little bit over-aggressive in others. In that one, just doesn't quite get the charm. All good. Not really going to change the landscape of this game too much. We've got a Mountain Drake up and available down in the bottom side of the map, but Aki could potentially be looking for another dive right here. Bin all by his lonesome.
Oh my goodness, we have another teleport coming in. They're going to try to 4-man Bin. Did burn his flash. Aki tanking it up. Good bubble lands. He's going to tank one more and die for it. And Shanji will be able to walk out. He gets the kill, but Aki just, man, you can't do that. You got to know.
I mean, yeah, and you also really didn't need to, I don't think, teleport another person down into this play. Now, yeah, there's a teleport available here, so you can get back involved here as Bin, whereas there's nobody to respond up to this top side right now. You are completely allowing Elk and On some free farm. Look at all of these turret plates being absorbed right here by the Callista.
And by the way, Wei took your entire top side jungle as well. That means that Aki will be further away from 6. He is going to try to chase down Wei here. Don't know how much success I'll actually see, but Doinb does give chase. Shanji going to flash over, hits a dog, but is going to get the flame spitter down. Kill goes over to Doinb.
Hey, that's something back. Good job from NIP to be able to turn that one around. Now they're going to continue pushing on forwards, on taking some decent burn damage, but still, you're well aware of your opponents being here right now. Elkanon going to play respectfully enough, and this is again opening up more time down in the bottom side right here for Bin to be able to just free hit onto this tower. This is the thing right now. Despite the fact NIP, they are finding some ways to get back and find a little bit of gold here and there. It feels like BLG are always just playing the map a little bit quicker.
Just a little bit. NIP will get some grubs in their back pocket. You know, it feels more of a takeaway from Bin than anything else. Obviously, Rumble, solid side laner. Aurora, solid side laner. Oh!
Oh, no. Oh! Double oh no!
Oh, no! Aki not only losing that grub, but losing his flash. Yeah, it's been a rough year so far for Aki. I think that he has struggled at times, as we talked about it earlier. And it's just little things like that that will make life much harder.
Yeah, indeed. Not having that flash now is going to make playing proactively a little bit harder right here. You obviously don't need it so much on the engage. It's not the end of the world to lose your flash. You do still have the ability to get over walls. It's just not something you want to have happen. And having one of those grubs stolen away as well just kind of sucks.
Yeah, this is an objective that you expect to fully secure. You're now like thinking about, all right, how many grubs are we going to get? Well, now you're in danger of not getting any of them.
Yeah.
But not to be dissuaded is immediately going to try to make another play on the bottom side here. We do have Knight shading over, maybe trying to spoil this. The plate will go over to leaving ppgod. Knight has an idea that something is going on. Something is not quite right here.
He doesn't know
He's
what,
going to hit the
though.
go button anyway, walk up, good charm. Not any danger of anything happening, really, as he will just thwart the attempts of Aki.
It's one of those situations where it's quite funny having the god vision that we do, knowing that these players are stood right next to each other, but don't fully know what's going on. At least Knight didn't entirely.
Yeah. It was a standoff. He sat here like,
yeah.
Ooh, wee wee woo, wah wah wah.
Matt and Drake is still going to be available as well. Nobody's really decided to play around that one yet. Both of the junglers are in the bottom side of the map at the moment, and with 2 minutes until the grubs spawn, this would be a good situation in which to try to fight around them. So far, though, really no proactivity towards this Drake. Neither team thinking that it's going to be a key to their success.
Yeah, not at this time, especially with how strong you are in the early game for BLG. I think they want to put a little bit more priority on these plays. You see Elk got one on his own there. But it is a little bit difficult, right? Because Lucian, as we all know, very strong champion. You don't really want to fight around him early. Wait till his power wanes a little bit here. It does mean that, as you said, you know, if Dragon's not going to be priority, then we're not really looking for any sort of soul or anything potentially for this game, unless we go really, really long.
So far, BLG here doing a much better job than Top Esports did at not feeding the Lucian a ton of kills. I think at this point in the game versus Top, the Lucian already had 3 or 4 kills, was kind of running the map.
Alright, BLG grouping up on their top side of the river, and IP on the bottom side. Aki right in the middle of the dragon. It's going to be taken away by Knight. And Knight is going to go crazy in this fight, ready to make some plays. Doinb down to half. Leave, got to get healed, but he goes down. It's a double kill for Knight. He's out of mana, but he's looking for a little bit more. On stuck in the back of the pick. Can they get Doinb first? And they do. They take him down. BLG wipe away NIP.
That was a really well played fight right there from BLG, and the fact that Knight is also able to pick up the Drake is just huge. NIP, they feel like they're in a strong enough position to be able to play, but you've only got a completed item onto Doinb. Everybody else working with scraps at the moment, and you could tell they just were not anywhere near as powerful. Wei was shredding through people, and now he's got that Eclipse completed too. And I mean, just look at this one. How do you steal this away right here as Knight? It's so close right there. Both of the junglers not quite going to be able to steal it. But really, just watch as the shred comes through from Wei. I mean, he is popping people.
So much damage, and On barely surviving. Good sidestep to avoid the twofold
Fancy
hex.
feet.
And big shout out to On. We didn't really talk about it, but in that fight, he had a big Pop Blossom to kick things off.
Yeah.
Big reason why they were able to take the victory in the fight. Second set of grubs up now. NIP will be first on it, but plenty of vision around. See what the move is. His leave is just leaving the base. It'll be a little bit difficult.
Indeed. I mean, are you really going to be able to step up for this one? You want to try to at least take one of these away, stop all of those Void Mites from being able to spawn. Wei is in the area.
Alright, it'll be 2 over to NIP. Wei will claim the last one. Culling going down onto On, takes him a little low. Wei stuck in the back of the pit, is able to hop over at will.
He doesn't want him to take himself out of a potential fight right now. That's what he's thinking. You know, Wei kind of wants to go. He's in a very strong position with that Eclipse completed. He's hit his break point for now. We can also see Bin down in the bottom side of the map doing some good damage right here onto the tower. Mid lane pressure coming through as well. It very much feels like BLG run the Rift at the moment.
Yeah, first turret going over to Bin. You know, they're up 3,000 gold at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, just take a look at the CS differentials as well.
Yes.
It's 15 in the top lane. I can't see it anymore because we have an ad. But it says that BLG is favored to win. I agree.
Thank you, Energy.
Okay,
Yes.
anyway. 17 in the mid lane.
Yeah.
And 14 in the bottom lane. This is exactly what you draw up when you get these sorts of lanes. You have the range into melee. Then you have the Ahri who's able to go and make plays. And, you know, because a Knight's able to move around and this match is so centered around Doinb for the side of NIP, he has to drop a lot. Knight can push faster and move first.
Yeah. Exactly. And the fact that you are now getting pulled around the map right here as NIP, you're not able to make those proactive plays for yourself so easily. It takes a lot of the power of this composition out. What you want to be doing is having your Skarner run up to people, grab them, impale them, just take them down with the culling. But it doesn't quite feel like NIP have been able to make that work for themselves at this point. Of course, we are still only 30 minutes into the game. You know, we've still got a little while until this game is truly going to be over. But so far, BLG have done a great job of putting themselves in the lead. They want to step towards getting that 2-0. They do not want to lose a single game here to NIP.
Looking mighty fine here for the side of BLG, and we talked about, you know, what's Leave going to look like later on in the game when he doesn't have all this set up for him, and right now, down in the dirt, 0-2-1, it's going to be hard for him to have much of any impact in this game unless he goes completely unchecked. Turret going down to the top side, Aki getting traded on here in the river, taking a little bit of damage, but it is all BLG, as there's now 3,500 up for them.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to continue extending this gold lead out. Remember, BLG, they're not sat in the top 4 at the moment. This is going to be a disappointment to this team, but they've got a very weak schedule coming up against them. These are a lot of games that BLG should be expecting to win, and the first step towards that is getting past NIP. We were slightly worried that NIP may become a bit of a trap game for them. So far, not the case. Game 1 was close, was scrappy back and forth. Game 2 looking a lot cleaner so far.
And a 2-0 win puts them in a really good striking distance against JDG. They'll have the same series record at 4-3. JDG will be 11-6, and BLG would be 10-7, which puts them at just a 1 individual game differential. Remember that game differential happens before head-to-head, so that is something of note. And for BLG, you know, as you said, a really happy stretch of games coming up for them. A really positive to their mental and potentially the record. It starts here. Obviously, that first game we mentioned was not clean. Looking much better here in the second one, despite what the kill score may say, as it is a little close, at least there.
Apparently, that is very much the case so far. NIP stepping up, but they really don't have good vision of where exactly all of the BLG members are hiding. They can make an educated guess. NIP going to bully their way into the pit, at least be able to start this one up if you so wish to, but you've also got Knight pushing in the top lane right now. He's got TP. He can rejoin with the rest of the team, but for the minute, there's no reason to. Knight could just keep the push going. He's going to draw somebody up to the top lane. Looks like that member is going to be Shanji, and that should very much open this up for BLG if they now want to go push towards this Drake.
Yep, they reverse the pressure, and now if Shanji wants in, he's going to have to teleport. Dragon has been started. It has been reset, but BLG are on top of it right now. Looks like NIP will not have a response as their solos are catching side lanes.
Indeed, it is just going to be this Drake picked up right here for BLG, their second of the game. Now they can compete for Soul Point on the next set. And for the minute, game pretty quiet. Not so many kills, not the most explosive of games, but it feels like it's BLG just sort of slowly choking NIP out. The gold lead is expanding slowly, still going to be about 3.5 at the moment, so they haven't been able to really explode it outwards, but I think that makes sense, right? They've got the sort of composition where right now where you've had these first items come through, that's a pretty big spike, especially for your Neferi, but you're kind of waiting on 2 items, 3 items for your Ahri to pop off, 2 items really on your Kalista to be able to get you into a good spot there, and maybe even that first item on so that pop bossom's dealing that bit of extra damage. At that point, once you get those win conditions, then you can press the go button.
Oh my. Way got taken down to half HP. Just a simple combo of ppgod and leave. You know, leave certainly going to be very dangerous in this game, regardless of the fact that the game hasn't gone so hot. Swift Charl has been started up on the top side. 5,000 HP. Teleport coming in from Knight. Going to be matched by Doinb. We're on his mid turret. So NIP have control of the river, but might be losing it soon. Doinb coming through on the side, looking to just get that pressure on with the sneaky ultimate as they turn around on Doinb and take him out. The Herald does go to NIP, but Knight is coming through on a flank. Aki going to try to get in, but he's got no one to pull. Cullen going down, not doing a whole lot of damage. Big knockup from On as well. Tidal Wave coming through, splits the gap. Aki on the side is very low. Way burning, but has to get out and will. And here comes Knight and Bin as NIP are between a rock and a hard place, trying to burn away Elk. Shanji's able to do so. ppgod hits a nice bubble, leave it half HP. On with a huge root there on the Tangle Barbs as they're coming through, and they're able to take him down. Bin gets that kill, and yeah, they're going to look for more, but are they going to get it? The dogs are barking. Bin is flashing, looking for Shanji, and BLG will take out NIP. Full control here in Game 2.
It's going to be a delayed ace right there, and what a fight from BLG. It's split across multiple fronts, but even though Aki survives quite a while in the backline, none of the NIP members could take out the key carries at the start of this fight. And I love this initial little bit of aggression right here from On, just completely catches Doinb out. Actually, the charm ends up going wide from Knight, but it doesn't matter in the end. And then it's this point where it's very interesting, right? Bin and Knight, some of the main damage threats are just slowly working through the health bar of Aki. But Shanji, Leave, ppgod, they can't pick up the kills onto any of these key members right here. It takes a Shanji flash forwards to finally get 1 kill, and then from this moment on, like you said, the aggression out of it. It's these constant stuns and roots being landed. On is finding these plays, and it allows the rest of the team to then be aggressive here, even though there's still a tower in the mid lane, and pick up these remaining kills.
Really creative start to the fight by On. Is take a look. Knight's getting his 5th kill. That legendary Ahri becoming even more legendary by the minute. 14 stacks of that Magi's. Completely deviated from his initial build. He said, I don't need Leandries. What's that? I got Magi's.
Exactly. Just going to be going for...
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, Knight. He's got no ultimate.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Knight has no more Magi's. Sell. Stonks down. Stonks down.
Panic selling the Magi's right here. This is why you don't buy Magi's, right? It guarantees you're about to die in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, honestly, that is the curse of Magi's. Like, if you know, you know. Like, if you've played, you've picked up a Magi's, even you can play as safe as possible.
I haven't died all game.
Yep, now you're cursed to die the rest of the game.
Yep.
We'll see if that's the case for Knight, as I'm sure NIP would love that. Shanji pushes up on the top side. Remember, 4 grubs. We'll get a lot of effectiveness out of that. Maybe able to claim an objective bounty here, but Bin has shown up. So Shanji wants it. He's going to have to give a lot for it. I'll walk away.
Yeah, he would have to give his life for that one. Very much not going to be a worthwhile trade at this point into the game. 40 seconds now until the next Drake is going to be spawning. Of course, it is going to be an Infernal map right here. And we've also got ourselves the Atakan as well. So 2 important objectives down in the bottom side of the map right now. And BLG very much in the stronger position than their opponents.
Yeah, still very much in the driver's seat. Bin going to finish that Monamune very soon. Just 57 mana away. Way also on 2 items. Rod of Ages proc for Knight going to happen within the next minute or so. And then Elk strong too. It's going to be very, very difficult. Leave is going to have the fight of his life. NIP is on solid items, but down 5,000 gold.
Yeah.
Be incredibly difficult.
It's a little bit of a rough situation. Very much going to be watching On right here. Can he find another big Pop Blossom engage to kick this fight off?
He's done a great job of finding them to start. Shanji going to join the team. Leave. Took a little bit of damage. Now he's down to about half HP. Be very worrisome in a moment. Good wards by NIP here. Dragon has started, but it's slow, and it's not steady at all. NIP knows they have to head back to this mid wave. Looks like they will cede full control of the river to BLG.
BLG very much in control right here. Charm does land. Aki very tanky at the moment, though.
Try to leverage the Rift Herald for this control here.
Aki
is the one who gets rooted up. Lumi's going to drive it in. Shanji knockup's there. Good pull back from Elk on the Fate's call. On will be off to the side. That's a big cooldown lost.
Yeah, it really is. I love the just Rift Herald engage that we see there. And actually with health bars slowly getting chunked down, BLG are going to pull away from this Drake. They're going to potentially look for some resets. A bit risky, right? Now you've fully given NIP the fast track over towards this Drake, and it's not a particularly easy composition to walk in on.
Oh, leave. Good chunk. Right below half HP is this Dragon. 8,000. Leave going to dash forward. Not going to find anything there as Elk is looking to get good damage in, and Leave is chunked. Here comes the equalizer down to split the fight. Way in. Elk can't get in. On is there. On with the pop blast him. On to 3. Can the rest of the team catch up? Charm lands from Knight, but he gets knocked up a bin. Goes over the top on them. And is starting to chunk him out, but he goes down. They do manage to find the jungler of NIP.
Oh,
and Way is going deep, but he's got to flash out. Got to be very careful for the rest of this fight. NIP, though, is in enemy territory and quickly running out of room. Gonna get to the blast code. Shanji gonna be able to do over on the side. ppgod gets picked off. Leave gets exhausted. He's too tired. Shanji trying to burn him away. Elk will flash and die, but they will still find the top laner of NIP. That is an ace for BLG once again.
I think because Elk dies in that situation, you don't immediately lose the Artican, so that is at least going to be something. But that's now multiple fights in a row where Way and Knight are able to pull the team through and get themselves big gold, big kills right here. Initially, this is looking pretty good for NIP. You managed to get your way into the pit. This is a great equalizer out of Shanji to stop any possibility of Way from being able to get involved. And actually, he takes a ton of damage from this as well. Onto Pop Blossom onto 3 members is decent, but there's no real follow-up in this situation, and he has to turn tail and run. And then from this moment on, it's messy, but in these big, messy team fights, I'm just constantly watching what it is that Knight is able to do. And what he does is find this charm right here onto ppgod that kills out the Nami. And once the Nami is gone, it means that there's no more of this healing and speed-ups and bubbles to try to play around. And it means it's go time for the rest of BLG.
He was just so split off. It was so doomed for NIP. It was doomed from the moment that On was able to get back in that fight. 1-0-10. His Pop Blossoms have been sublime. He's played a really, really good game. And for all the words we had for him getting MVP in the last game, well, it was definitely not undeserved. This game would certainly be a big statement. We'll see if BLG can bring it home, Bloxxer.
Let's see if they can close this one out. Have a quick 2-0 right here versus NIP. They've not been the cleanest games. We've seen far more convincing victories, but a 2-0 is a 2-0. It does the same job, and it's the sort of thing BLG need to kick off their run of weaker opponents that they're going to have. NIP right now desperately trying to stop the slide. They have lost 4 games in a row. Looking like it may become 5 in this situation.
Another engage there. Good tangle barbs too as they find Doinb. On is caught, but nice job Elk getting him out of trouble and also saving his own skin as Shanji will go down. Double kill for Elk as Leave looking for more on the Knight. Here comes the culling. He's got a cleanse. Knight will flash away. Meanwhile, Way is continuing to put pressure down onto Aki. Bin showing up, chunks out and takes out Leave as BLG win yet another fight.
That was incredibly aggressive right there from On, going over the wall, gets the Pop Blossom onto 1 member, but hey, it's enough to be able to pick up the kill. And exactly as you highlighted, right, you still have got that pullback from Elk to keep him alive. There's nothing you can really do. I feel like we haven't really been able to speak about Leave throughout the majority of this game. And that's the problem, right? We said that this guy on this champion needed to be the main carry, but without the same level of setup that he had in that game versus Top, just hasn't been able to make it work. 1, 5, and 3 right now. 2 items completed, still does some decent damage, but nothing compared with what it was in that previous game.
Take a look at this replay here as NIP just don't have nearly as much utility, and On seeing the opportunity here.
It's
great. Tangle Barb, obviously, you know, on a CC target, but off of them has been great. Big save there onto Elk. Shanji was in the danger zone.
Played and the insta cleanse from Leave to try to keep playing this one, but at that point Bin just arrives, takes his head off. They're in such control of this game. Baron is available right now. You have to feel like that's what you're waiting for here as BLG before you try to push forwards, crack open these tier 2 towers. Towers really haven't been a main focus so far. Aki gonna go flying in, but unfortunately the dog can jump over walls. It can go untargetable as well. So much survivability right here on this Neferi.
It's just so difficult for NIP to try to play this out, specifically leave. It's 1-5-3, I believe. Is just been really, really tough. Now Shanji's the one who's going to get chased down. They root him again. He is so low. Knight going over the wall. Has to hop back. Tidal wave coming through, but that's a cooldown just burnt. NIP licking their wounds.
If he dies, you know, that's at least something in this situation. For the minute, though, you can also just delay this game through, go pick yourself up another Drake spawning in 15 seconds time, and not really worry about the Baron at the moment. The Baron is going to be a convenient tool to draw the members of NIP in, potentially try to go for another big team fight around them. As you can see, resets coming through, and that's now going to be a 24-stack Medjais. The rower fully up. And then the full death cap completed here for Knight. He is going to be hitting so hard at this point, and he's been such a key part right here of the BLG victory.
An absolute force on this Ahri, like we expect whenever he picks it up. NIP, oh my god, that's a big chunk on just Aki, right? NIP one in, and they will not secure the dragon. Here comes on. Pop Blossom forces Shanji to go golden. Pulls him back on the Fate's Call, though, to keep him safe. Teleport coming through for Doinb, so NIP survives the initial engage. Is there anything more they can do?
They're just going to try pressure forwards. They go,
Between worlds. Good ultimate there, trying to gun down Knight. He's forced to get away. Once back in, he's getting a little chunked with his turret still standing here in the mid lane. So NIP are still getting whittled down.
Yeah, they can't keep any of their waves alive. That's the thing, right? Between the Kalista and Ahri, there's just way too much wave clear, making it so tricky to try to play this one out. You can see those accelerated shock blasts really hurting on, constantly stepping up, threatening for going for those E's, trying to stun people down, and it means that NIP, they're just having to play back, trying to play as respectful as possible. If they can win a team fight right here, there's a ton of objective bounties on the board, there's a ton of shutdowns available to them on BLG. They just need to find that team fight, which so far has eluded them.
Yeah, the only problem is a lot of members of NIP head to back, leave actually sticking around at half HP. Charm down onto Aki. Aki is super low. Baron is super low. Aki's got to try to find a way, and he can't. He's going to hit the ultimate onto Bin. Will manage to take him out, but let's see if BLG wants the fight. Big knockups coming through. Shanji is low, but not before he gets a lot of damage in, and Doinb's looking to go crazy. Meanwhile, on the backside, it's Wei who could be in trouble. Looks like he will be able to find his way out, but a victory for NIP. They go 3 for 1, even though they lose the Baron.
Yeah, lose the Baron, but with only 2 Baron buffs available, one on Wei, one on Knight, really not going to be the same level of potency that BLG would really have hoped for, and it was just a great pick right there. Aki manages to grab the Impale onto Bin, that opens it up, but really it's the Tidal Wave out of ppgod that really changes things. It lands onto 3 members, decent amount of damage as well with the Imperial Mandate on the Nami, and it just allows that bit of engage to come through, and it's only the very mobile champions of the Neferi and Ahri that can skirt away.
A little bit of breathing room here for NIP, but take a look where Knight is posted up. Top side, sure, Doinb's going to get that turret, but this jungle is not yours, NIP, and if you walk in, you are liable to get instantly popped. 3-man squad here on the bottom side just to take out that wave, but even Shanji knows he can't really get in there.
Yeah.
No wards whatsoever. Big charm, big damage.
Oh,
there we go, immediately bursting out the Nami. Shanji down to half. Knight once back in. And Knight is going to get what he wants. He's got no more dashes. Wei separated by the wall. Gets onto Shanji, gets the kill. Leave, he should have the reset available if he wants to find Leave, but Leave will wisely stay away.
Just back off, but that's now going to be 2 quick kills right here going over to BLG. And now they can push in onto the base, even without the Baron buffs onto all of these members. Still going to be dealing more than enough tower damage. The base begins to crumble. You've even got Bin up in the top lane right now. Pressure on all 3 fronts.
Game 1 was ugly until they won. Game 2, much cleaner by BLG. Yep. This is the BLG that we expect to see. Playing on 3 lanes here as Elk and On move over to take out the top inhibitor now. The question is, do NIP have any fight left in them? Leave just gets chunked from so far away, and that's only from Elk. He's going to dash in, get chunked some more.
Oh my.
will limp out, but Knight is going to go right after him and punishes him. Here comes on. Big pop. Blossom lands on the 2. Doinb gets to the back line. Able to do what he can. Elk is kind of stuck, and he will not be able to find Shanji. But Aki, I don't know what you're ulting there. Has been is going to go crazy now. He's going to find Doinb. Wei is in there. Aki drives through the wall, and the base is in tatters. It's a 3v2, even though On's a little too low. The siege is on to the Nexus turrets here. Bloxxer as Bin is untouched. Aki and ppgod know there's not too much they can do as Wei is looking to cap this game off with another kill, and instead it goes to Bin. The final Nexus turret will go down very shortly, and it does. So does Aki, and BLG very cleanly getting it done 2-0.
Oh boy, that's going to be a 5-game losing streak right here for NIP. It just has not been working out for that squad in any way at the moment. BLG picking this one up, moving themselves to 4-3. Like you said, drawing themselves level with some of the other teams in the top of the standings right now. A crucial win here for BLG. But God, it must feel so bad as NIP at the moment.
Not only that, on Sunday they have to play Anyone's Legend, by the way.
Yeah.
That's,
TOP,
by the way, for those who don't
BLG,
know, Anyone's Legend,
AL.
the 6-2 Anyone's Legend. The easiest match they had this week was against BLG.
Yeah.
Theoretically, because they played against Top Esports earlier. They lost Top Esports. Very competitive. Fought their hearts out. But today, it was not so. The good news for NIP is week 5, they'll play against Team WE. But I don't even know if that's good news anymore. Team WE is 3-6.
Unfortunately, at the moment in the LPL, the two teams that felt like they were getting the absolute most out of the lane swap meta, ThunderTalk and NIP, now that that's gone away, have just been in free fall for a while, and it's just not good at all. Really rough to watch, right? It didn't feel like Doinb was able to step up, leave, again, mispositioning areas, and on this pickup that he was able to find so much success with versus top, just doesn't get anything done right here on the Lucian.
And it's so sad because these are teams that were split one darlings. Not only were they, beneficiaries of the lane swap, but people like them. Like, people really like what ThunderTalk brought to the table, and obviously NIP headed by Doinb, right? Like, this is immediately a fan favorite team, and it's just so tough to see this thing happen. So take a look. We do have updated standings for you. Yeah, not looking so good for NIP. Now down in 9th place. With ThunderTalk. The good news for NIP is that they have 2 more wins than ThunderTalk, but at this point in time, I feel like you just have to take every match one at a time and try to find a play style that works for them. Again, I wanted to see them center around Leave. They did not do that in that second game. Really thought a more composition that was a little bit more catered to him would have yielded better results.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw in that top matchup was where you've got yourself a Scion and a Galio, and then you got Lucian Nami, and you're just fully thinking about this Lucian. Hey, how can we make Lee feel as comfortable as possible, buy him as much space to be able to do his thing? And he paid it back in that one, but also, it was good right here out of BLG to grab themselves an almost equally as aggressive bot lane, and then play around it early on as well. You didn't end up seeing the same level of just domination from the Lucian Nami, because between Kalista and Nico, especially if you get some jungle intervention, then you've got a decent 2v2 matchup that can really go toe-to-toe, and just was way more effective throughout the entirety of this game. There was one good tidal wave, there was one okay culling that I saw out of NIP's bot lane, but to be honest, they were pretty irrelevant throughout the entirety of that game, not in the same way that we saw from BLG.
Yeah, that level 1 really put them on the back foot, leaving ppgod. Leave opened with the Art and Blaze, the W for Lucian. Which, is fine. You get the extra movement speed whenever you tag somebody when they're marked. But the problem is, once the wave starts pushing into you, you do not have a good way of pushing the wave back out. Once there was a small minute advantage on the other side for Elkanon, there was no way you were going to hit level 2 first. And when you don't hit level 2 first in that matchup, it is going to be a pain. Giving level 2 over to Kalista Nico is going to be something that is difficult to recover from. It is not something that they were able to do. Take a look, ended in 31 minutes and 40 seconds. A real dominating win by the side of BLG. Knight doing a ton of damage. I guess the only question now, Bloxxer, is it going to go to Knight or is it going to go to On? Last game we thought it was going to go to Knight, and it went to On. This game, I think it's going to go to On, but I think Knight did a lot.
Knight had a really impressive game. I think he was just finding the charms that were needed at time and time again, dealing so much damage, and really was just able to get exactly what I was hoping for from this player. At the same time, On had a ton of really awesome engages. Yes, not all of them were landing onto 4-5 members. It wasn't those big wombo combo pop blossoms, but here with the fancy feet, constantly landing those stuns as well. And then this one, the sneaky play that honestly just kind of turns things around. I think On should just about take it, but I wouldn't be mad about either On or Knight from picking this one up. I do wonder if it's going to be, again, out of left field where it's like Way or someone.
Yeah, no, shouldn't. It should either be one of those two. I'm happy with either of them. I would certainly petition for On a little bit more of this game. Yeah. I think they should have been reversed. You know, game 1 should have went to Knight, game 2 should have went to On. I wonder how much voter fatigue actually goes into it. I don't know if they care about that sort of thing. We have no votes. We only have our personal votes and what we believe the players deserve. If they could share co-MVPs,
if we think they're wrong.
Yeah, if they could share co-MVPs, I'd be all for it, my friend. But not going to be the case. And for BLG now 4-3. Let's take a look at the road ahead for them.
Oh, it looks
They're
good.
Done until week 5, but as we talked about, it's pretty open. They're going to play 4 games in week 5. And they're going to be mirror matches. They're going to play against FPX on Monday. They're going to play against Weibo on Tuesday. They're going to have off on Wednesday and Thursday. Then they're going to play against Weibo on Friday. And then FPX on Saturday. So now we're starting to get to the second part of the double round robin where teams are starting to play each other for the second time. So something to keep an eye out for as we start to wrap up this week, as we do have 2 more days on the horizon. Of course, because here in the LPL, we got games every day.
Exactly. This is a very interesting time right now for BLG, where they play up against FPX and Weibo, and FPX and Weibo, and then Thundertalk, and then that's pretty much until the next time they play up against NIP. All of their easy, and of course we've had a real circle of suck in the LPL this split.
Yes.
So easy is hard to say here, but that looks like it should be the easiest stretch of games that they are going to have. This is part of why we thought BLG were looking like one of the best teams, because right at the start of the split, they were picking up some wins against some of the weaker teams. We were like, okay, look at this, looking good, and then all of a sudden, playing up against these stronger opponents, it just hasn't felt like the BLG of old. But in terms of get-right games, which, it's pretty late in the split to really be getting right, these are a great stretch of games. If you can win all of these matchups, you're putting yourself in a brilliant spot to potentially be right at the very top, and playing a lot of bad teams back to back to back means you're not constantly having to look forwards at the next team and go, oh, we could spend time on NIP, but also we've got IG tomorrow. Maybe we need to think about them instead. Or, oh, we really need to think about the fact we've got top and then IG, and then JDG all at once. This is a nice schedule for them to begin with, but obviously at the end of the split then, they've got a lot of very tough matchups coming in a row.
Yeah, they're going to be contending with JDG probably for that last spot. As On will get the MVP, well-deserved. Thought this dude played a bonkers game and really came up strong. Obviously, Knight also would have deserved it, but I think you have to give it to On because the car doesn't get started without him, right? He's the one who put the key in the ignition. He's the engine that fired things up. But then once everything was running smooth, it was all Knight.
Exactly. When you pick yourself the Neferi as the jungler, you are very much reliant on either your very engaged heavy top laner, it's a Jace, that's not happening, or your support to be that bit of engage. And with the Nico, especially with the Pop Blossom, it's a very committal piece of engage. You're putting yourself in quite a lot of harm's way to go and find those plays, but with the backup of having that Kalista ulti available to him, he was playing like he had absolutely no fear, and kicks all of these fights off with great engages and just allows the rest of his team to not have to worry about it. They can just follow up on his engages exactly as a support should do.
Well said, Bloxxer. Well said. We're going to get ready to wrap it up here, but before we do, we want a big shout out to our coffee supporters, our elite ones specifically. Aaron Soup, Meng, and Forrest without the Twitter MVP. Their pledged financial contributions help us level up the broadcast and get back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every day. But that will be it for us this evening. However, as I alluded to earlier, we have plenty of LPL action every single day. And we got coming up, we're going to take a little trip to Nirvana for the first game of tomorrow, EDG versus Ultra Prime. I'll be on the call with Rude Dude, and then Mazel will be there for the second half. It'll be JDG versus Thunder Talk Gaming. On behalf of myself, Bloxxer, Mandem, and the entire LPL English crew, thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you tomorrow night for some more games.